Hi, I'm Tovah, and today's class is a wonderful mix of Vinyasa and Yin. So get ready to start with some movement and then slow things down with a deep stretch. Begin standing on your mat with your hands at your heart. As we work through today's practice, Vinyasa and Yin mix, starting with movement and finishing with stillness. Releasing the palms, inhale, reaching high, and exhale as you fold down, taking a sun salutation here. Inhale, lift the head, come up part way. Reaching for the floor, hopping or stepping back. As you lower yourself down from knees or toes, turn the toes and then inhale, lengthen your back as you find a gentle back bend. Release and find downward facing dog, pressing from knees or from toes, sending the hips all the way back. Relax your neck. Looking to your hands, inhale, hop or step there. And then exhale, soften, melt as you let yourself fold forward. Inhale, big breath, come all the way to the top. And exhale, swan diving down, taking salutation B here. Inhale, lengthen the back, eyes look just ahead. Exhale as you reach for the floor, hop or step back, lowering. Turning the toes, inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Release and press up and back to downward facing dog using knees or toes here. Lift your right leg up. Step your right foot up to your hands and boost it if it needs a little bit of help here. Finding a straight line from knee to ankle as we reach up in high lunge or take warrior one here. Folding down, reaching for the floor, stepping back. Again, lowering. Inhale, shine your heart forward. And exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Draw your belly button in and up towards your heart. Push your sitting bones high and up towards the roof. Raise your left leg, bring it up to your hands, reaching up with long, strong arms in high lunge or warrior one, and then folding forward, reaching for the floor, stepping back, melting down. Turn the toes in, inhale, peel away from the floor, and exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Find your breath here. Raise your right leg and step it up to your hands. Turn the back foot halfway flat so your heel lines up with your heel front to back. And then reaching up into warrior one. Arms long and strong here. Either together or take them a little bit wider, and it's okay to look forward if that feels better for you. Turning and opening as you flatten the back foot to sink into warrior two. Draw your shoulder blades back. Open up through the chest, bend through the front knee. Gaze out over your front fingers. Lower the back arm and lift the top arm for proud warrior. And then press up, straighten the legs as we move into side angle here. Bend the front knee, bring the elbow onto the thigh, and take the top hand palm down over your head. You want to have a nice long diagonal line, reaching from your left fingertips down to the back of your left foot. And don't let yourself round forward here. So you see how my back is really open and really straight here. Not letting your ear collapse into your shoulder. Press and lift it away. Perfect. Inhale, come all the way back up into warrior two. Find length and strength here. And then windmilling down, stepping back to plank. Lowering to the floor. Turn the toes, lift for cobra. Just keeping the edges of our bottom ribs down on the mat. Release and press back to downward facing dog. Raise your left leg, step it or boost it up to your hands. Turn your back foot halfway flat. Okay, and the toes could be a little more forward if you need them as you sink the back heel towards the floor. Inhale, lift to come all the way up with the arms, coming into warrior one. And then rotate open to come in to warrior two, flattening the back foot. Bend your front knee, look out over your front fingers. Sink maybe just a little bit deeper. Lower the back arm and lift the top arm for proud warrior, still bending into your front knee. And then pressing up, lifting the kneecaps, stretching the arms out as we prepare to come into side angle. Come back to bended front knee, elbow on the thigh. Reach your top arm, right arm over your head. Keep rotating open through your belly button. Lengthen and really anchor the back foot down and stretch with the top arm. Inhale, come all the way back up to warrior two. Gaze back out over your front fingers, maybe bend just a little bit more. Windmilling the hands down to come back and step back into a high plank. Lower to your mat. Inhale for cobra, taking just a nice gentle back bend. Release and press back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lower belly aiming to touch your upper thighs or get close to it. Maybe bend your knees a little bit more to get your hips tipping in the right direction. Perfect. Bring your knees gently down to your mat. As you walk your hands ahead to come into puppy pose here. So really stretch your arms forward, bring your elbows down, and then aim to bring your forehead down to the mat, keeping your hips high. So in child's pose, our bum is way back over our heels. In puppy pose, our bum is lifted and our knees and hips are stacked one on top of the other. Of course, if puppy is a little too intense for you, shift your weight back a little bit or a little bit more to come all the way into child's pose. So you find the right amount for you as we open up the chest and shoulders here. Maybe turn your thumbs to the roof. It can be a little bit gentler through the shoulder girdle if it's tight. Maybe you want to come hands in prayer, or bend your elbows a little bit more, or take them real straight. And then come on onto your stomach. Bring your elbows now just in front of your shoulders as we come into a Sphinx roll. So we're going to activate our deep reflexive core muscles for a couple of rounds. Pushing the toes down, keep the knees down. You're going to scoop and tuck your chin towards your chest as tight as you can get it, and then lift through your belly button as you pull your tummy just off the floor. Knees stay down, head stays tucked. Breathe here. Lower the tummy, lift the head just to come back into a nice Sphinx stretch. And again, tuck the chin and just peel off the floor. Breathe. We don't want to hold our breath here. Exhale, relax, lower the tummy, lifting the head. And one more time, tucking the chin down, scooping the pelvis under, finding a nice deep breath here, and lower the tummy back down. And coming back to rest in Sphinx. So you probably felt some muscles in your core really working hard, really engaging there. Those are those deep reflexive core muscles, and we want them to work really well. And that's a great, almost no fail core exercise for most people. Sometimes with core exercises, our body gets really lazy and it doesn't actually do the work. We kind of use a lot of cheater muscles to make it happen, but that one tends to be great for targeting the core. Perfect. You're going to let yourself come all the way flat, and then pressing up onto all fours, moving through a couple of rounds of cat and cow. Inhale as you lower your tummy, lift your tail, lift your head for cow. And as you exhale, scoop your tail under, coming all the way up across your back, and then finishing with the chin tuck. Going the opposite way, inhale and exhale, rounding the back. And inhale, moving to cow. And exhale, moving to cat. And one more time, inhale and exhale to cat. Perfect, and then just come to a nice neutral back. And then from here, you're going to move from cat into child's pose. So really lift through the back, round like a cat, and then push yourself all the way back to come back into child's pose. And then shift your weight forward, coming back up into cat, rounding your back, rounding as you push your weight back towards your heels to come back to child's. And one more time, shift your weight forward and then come into that big cat, moving our weight backward and come back to resting child's pose. Just taking a few breaths in child's pose here. So get comfortable if you like your knees a little bit wider, if you like them a little bit closer together, you find the right place. As we start to slow things or transition things into the yin portion of today's practice. Good, and slowly coming back up. If you do have a small cushion or a blanket, something that you can tuck underneath your knee for this next posture, let's go ahead and grab it. If you don't, you can do it without. But for lots of people's knees are a little bit sensitive, and we're gonna be there for a little bit, so this can just make it a little bit gentler. So we're gonna take our cushion, and we're gonna put our right knee on the cushion, and we're gonna step our left leg forward here. So left leg forward and let it be a little bit wide. So it's not straight on. It's a little bit wider to give your hips a little bit more room to sink down into the center, into that pocket. And then we're gonna bring our right hand to the ground here. And we're just gonna start here. And of course, this could be hand on a block as well. So if you find that the floor is just a little bit too low for you, and if it's too low, what that means is your bum will kind of be sticking out the back and your hips won't be able to drop quite as far. So if you're a little bit tighter, go ahead and put something underneath your hand so that you can allow your hips to drop down a little bit more. And then once you're comfortable here, you want to see if you can bring just that elbow down. So sometimes this is taught with both elbows down, and that can be quite demanding for people that are not as flexible. But try bringing one elbow down, and it can give you just a little bit of a twist here. You can turn and look towards the knee or towards the ceiling, and maybe let that knee just kind of go here. So open up the hips, which might mean that the knee will flare a little bit to the side. Don't stop it here. Just let your hips open wherever they're comfortable in this modified lizard pose. Nice deep breaths. And remember, we want to soften. We want to lengthen here. So we're not putting ourselves into a position that's a really, really demanding stretch. That won't get us the release that we're looking for. So we want to make it easy, accessible to our body. We want to make it a place that we can stay for a little bit. Good, and let's slowly come out of that position. Just bring the leg back. If you need to give things just a little bit of a shake out here, if there's any movements that you need to do, and then we'll get ready and we'll tuck our cushion underneath our left knee this time. Stepping our right leg forward. Same thing on this side, you want it a little bit wider, so near the edge of your mat or possibly even just off onto the floor. As you let your hips drop forward, we're gonna start with a hand down or hand on the block. Just giving your hips a few breaths here just to kind of work into this. We can already start to feel or let our hip open a little bit more. We'll notice our knee feels okay to wander to the side. And it's okay if it doesn't feel okay. It doesn't mean your knee has to be over there. It can stay straight on if that's where your body wants it to be. And then decide whether you can venture to bring your left elbow down here. And this could also be left elbow on a block. So if you were using the block for your hand, just try to bring your elbow down onto your block here. Maybe finding a little bit of rotation with this. So you might decide that you want to turn and look up just a little bit. Again, listen to your body. You're not forcing anything here. You're just kind of letting it find the path that feels right, that feels good. And know when we're in this position with our knee slightly rotating or shifting out to the side, if we actually look at the knee joint, there's nothing happening here. This joint is staying nice and straight. Same thing in our ankle joint. So we don't want to put our ankle in like a spraining, twisting position. So we pull the toes back towards the shin to keep the ankle nice and strong and straight. the knee stays straight. This movement is really coming from the hip joint. Okay, and depending on how much movement is there for you, this can look a little bit different for everybody. Taking a few more deep breaths here. Perfect. Slowly coming away from this position. Just taking your time here. You can just move your cushion off to the side. And now we're going to be moving into a position where we're lying on our stomach. So come on down onto your mat as we're moving into reclining frog. So if you do like a little cushion underneath your head, you can definitely put it there. Or if you're more comfortable to put your forehead down or turn your head to one side, that's what's going to happen with your head. You're going to take your legs about shoulder width or maybe just a little bit wider, kind of where you're comfortable here. And then you're going to bend the knees, kicking the heels back towards the bum, and then aim to bring the feet together. And then if you decide that your knees can go a little bit wider, let them go a little bit wider. Okay, so feet together, knees wide. This is a little bit gentler version compared to the kneeling position for frog, but it is definitely quite an effective stretch. And don't force your feet together here. If they just don't want to come together, just let them get as close as is comfortable. Relaxing yourself down here. Just looking to find that edge, that comfort, with just a little tiny bit of struggle. Just noticing what's happening in your body. Feeling and embracing the sensations, but also adjusting if those sensations are too strong. So bring your knees a little bit closer together, or let your feet come apart here, or just take a little breather if this is feeling like it's just too much for your body. And you really want to decide to change the position before it feels like it's too much. Okay, we don't want to push ourselves so close to that edge because we're looking for muscles to relax and lengthen here. So we need to be slow, we need to be gentle. Good, and we're slowly going to come out of this position. Just let your legs release here, coming back to just lying. Again, resting your head or maybe turning your head to the opposite side for a couple of breaths here. Perfect, and as we move into our last yin posture for today's practice, we're gonna move into Sphinx, and if you have a bolster, or a blanket or an extra rolled up yoga mat that you could use. Just roll it up, something to give you just a little bit of help here. And if you need a little more help, you could definitely turn the bolster on its side, or you could potentially use a bigger bolster or 2 pillows, 2 cushions here. Relaxing the legs, but I'm gonna tuck this underneath my rib cage so that it's gonna give me a little bit of extra help in my lift. And just relaxing here. And your head can either be lifted in this position, or it can be bowing and be more relaxed forward. So you decide which feels better for you. You want to make sure that your legs are relaxed, that your glutes are relaxed here. So if you need to do just a little bit of movement to get things to settle down back there, but making sure that you're not clenching your buttocks here. As you let everything start to quiet down. Making sure that your shoulders aren't creeping up towards your ears here. So just a little bit of activity in our shoulders to make sure that we keep them drawn downward. And then allow yourself to come out of Sphinx here. And if you want to just spend a couple of breaths straightening your arms here, coming into just a little deeper of a back bend. And then when you're ready, drawing your bolster or your cushion out, and then let yourself come all the way back down to flat. Again, forehead down or turning the cheek to one side. And when you're ready, rolling over onto your back. And we're going to spend the next couple of minutes in class in your Savasana. And that might be just lying flat on your back. Maybe you wanted to come into a posture like bound angle, so opening the hips a little bit more, putting the feet together, letting the knees open wide. Maybe you want to stay on your stomach if that's really comfortable for you. So just let yourself find that position that you can rest in. Close your eyes. Venture to let your mind move towards stillness. And if it's having a little bit of trouble, find one thing that you can focus on, controlling that conversation. allowing yourself to rest here as long as your body wants. Thank you so much for joining me in today's Vinyasa and Yin practice. Remember to like and subscribe to this video and to my channel. Thanks for joining. Namaste.